Welcome to episode 43 of the Retro Gaming Dads podcast. I'm Barry.
And I'm Anthony. We'll be taking a look at this week's retro and retro-inspired news,
as well as a look at some of our favourite games to play over the festive period. Before we get into our favourite games to play at Christmas, sure, we look forward to some games that we can maybe use some of our Christmas money to get next year.
Yes, even though you might be waiting a while for it, but there'll be some. I think we've had some good games coming out, especially from the Game Awards.
Yeah, well, we've had the Game Awards, where we had our first look at the Halo TV series. I know it's not strictly gaming, but...
Well, do you know what? Talk about the Halo TV series. I think I've possibly been a bit more excited about trailers, about the movies and TV series than the games, I guess.
Absolutely. I didn't really look at anything else at the Game Awards, if I'm being honest. It was only a really quick peek. I thought it looked amazing. In fact, the thing I thought looked the worst on that trailer was the Master Chief.
Yeah.
Everything else looked amazing.
Looked beast. Like, you know, when he's there putting with a sniper rifle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. I felt a little bit underwhelmed when I saw Master Chief. I was like, yeah, it looks
maybe
good.
Maybe they don't want to give too much away about the Master Chief yet.
Yeah, maybe.
Hold suspense.
Looking forward to that in 2022.
At some point, as long as Master Chief's run around the Scorpion tank like a boss, I'm happy.
And blowing up any alien son of a stupid enough to get beat. Oh, we know where that goes. Yes. As well as the other trailers, though. 2 Sonic trailers. The first one was for the upcoming Sonic game that they announced earlier in the year, which has now got its actual title, Sonic Frontiers, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
And it looks like it's going to be more of an open world game, which I'm not sure how I feel, because I think Sonic does best when he's in tight platforming sections. But the idea of running around an open world at supersonic speeds does sound pretty cool as well.
Does sound pretty fun. And also, this is just to me going more for, I would love there to be a multiplayer in every single game. If you put multiplayer into this, and then you could choose Shadow or, you know, someone to run around with, might be a bit more fun to play with other people. But I don't see that happening at all. But I think it would be pretty cool.
I know I've told you about this, but I'll have to say it again for the podcast. I am very proud, father, as my son has started playing Sonic Mania and managed to complete the very first stage with Sonic on his own. Which
I know disappointment of failing.
Oh, no. It was kind of cute. It took him so many times to get past that first motor bug. And he finally got past it and went, yay, I did it. And then ran straight into, I think it's like a chomper or something. I went, oh, no, I didn't do it.
Yeah, I did it.
I didn't do it. It was cute. It was funny. But he managed to finish it, which I was really impressed by. Considering initially, he was just jumping up and down on the spot because he didn't know how to play it. Nice one, Elliot.
Yeah, good job.
And on top of all of that, we also got a trailer for the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out next year.
Now, with this, I was quite happy that I saw this being announced saying, oh, we're going to show us the Game Awards before you even saw it.
No, I didn't actually know that's when they were showing it. I heard there was actually going to be a trailer. I actually heard it was going to be at the beginning of Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which came out today.
All movies around that time. Looks more the same. I'm quite happy that Robotnik looks more like, well, Robotnik.
He's got a big old tash.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Knuckles. I really enjoyed that little scene they had when Sonic, charged across and Knuckles just went, yeah, boof.
Yeah, it's the beginning of Sonic 3 all over again.
I am excited. I definitely do want to watch this, and I know Sam will want to as well. So
yeah,
it'd be nice to take Sam to go watch it at the cinema.
And just while we're on talking about movies and that, anyone out there who likes Ghostbusters, who's thinking of going to see it, go and watch it. I watched it the other day. It's fantastic.
I need to watch it.
Definitely. It's really good. Watch the first movie first, because a lot of it picks up after that.
Okay.
If you've got that fresh in your mind, that's a good start. You can skip the second one, though, if you want. Right. Anyway, should we actually talk about some games in this gaming podcast?
Sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, so first up, gaming-wise, we've got Nintendo's Indie World Showcase, which they kind of just randomly seem to push out the gate every so often.
Well, I guess it's a nice, easy way for them to mash all the games in together in a little bit there, for everyone to know what's coming up. I understand the first one on the list was Sea of Stars, wasn't it?
Yeah, this definitely caught my eye, and anyone who's a fan of Chrono Trigger, it'll almost certainly catch their eye as well. So it looks like a spiritual successor to it. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a SNES RPG.
Chrono Trigger, no, I'm not familiar with it. However, looking at it, it is a turn-based RPG. It does look very interesting. It's something that I would like to give a try. I quite like the gameplay of it from the trailer. The way that when you go into a fight, you come across a boss, the UI changes so you don't shift to another screen. It's still within the same screen. It just moves around and automatically goes into turn-based without having to reload the screen you're on.
Yeah, there's no jarring transition between what you would consider to be the open world and then your battle scenes. It all takes place in the same area. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. And on a side note, you need to play Chrono Trigger. I can actually hear people booing you right now. Anyone who's a fan of SNES games or RPGs in general will definitely know what I mean when I say this is like Chrono Trigger.
Well, if Chrono Trigger's on the Switch,
I don't think it is.
Oh, okay, I did wrong then.
It possibly could be. To be honest, I've just renewed that for another year and I still haven't been on to check what games are on it.
Yeah, good point.
Another game that I was really excited for, and it's officially announced, is River City Girls 2.
Now, the first one I did play, I played it with, I think it was you and Phil I played it with, or just you? Or was it 2-player only?
It's 2-player, yeah.
I definitely played it whilst around yours though, and I did quite enjoy it.
I thought it was amazing. I think I ran through this with Phil, and I ran through it with Kerry as well. So I got my mileage out of it. The only downside for this game is it made Scott Pilgrim feel bad.
Really?
It was so good, it made Scott Pilgrim vs. the World feel bad in comparison.
Did that upset you a bit?
It did. It upset me a lot. Especially the amount of time I had to wait for limited run games to get the bloody game out.
Release out. What, then it took, nearly a year? Over a year?
Well, actually, it didn't take that long. It took, was it like 6 months or something?
I feel like it must be that long.
In all fairness, I ended up buying it digitally anyway. Again.
In all fairness, we could always listen back to the podcast because we mentioned it in every single podcast and see when the first time we said about waiting for it.
Yeah. That can be one of our milestones for the end of the year. Barry finally got his game he pre-ordered in like February. New stages, new characters. So instead of your initial 2 starting characters from the first River City Girls, now looks like you've got 6. So you got Misako and Kyoko, which are the original 2 characters. Kyoko easily being the best of the 2. Plus, you've got Kunio and Ricky, which are the unlockable characters from the first game, and the ones that the 2 girls are actually trying to find out what happened to them because they got kidnapped. And 2 new characters, or at least new as far as I'm aware, which is Pruvi and Marion. I don't know anything about those 2 characters, so can't really say an awful lot, to be honest.
Pruvi, interesting
name. Unless I've written that down wrong. It's very likely I've written that down wrong.
Maybe.
But yeah, they're saying it's a much bigger world to explore, and new moves, new enemies, new items.
New everything.
Yeah, well, new and improved. Don't know how it's new and improved, but somehow it is. But this is coming out in summer 2022. So
you've not got long to wait, do you?
Wow, it's half a year. You know how impatient I get.
Yeah, but that's long it took for you to get your limited run game Scott Pilgrim.
Well, yeah, no. Oh, no. I just thought, I think it'll be limited run. We'll be doing the physical version of this game. I'll have to go through it all over again.
You never know. It might not be as long.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, this is going to be 2-player, unfortunately. It's not 4-player, like, say, Streets of Rage. I don't know. I'm getting more excited for these somewhat smaller indie games than I am, like all the big AAA games recently.
I enjoy a lot of the indie games as well. I think the reason that we get excited more about them is because it's given us a bit of rekindling to our childhood games. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, nowadays the games are, they look out of fantastic. They are really well done. But then it's quite nice to have the graphics a bit more simplified back to how they were sometimes.
It's not even just the graphics. It's I think for a start they tend to take a little bit more risk.
Yeah.
So they might not take risk in like dramatically changing, but they might take a risk in doing something that's fallen out of favor, like a side-scrolling beat 'em up or a turn-based 2D RPG, for example. Whereas modern games now, I could say the open world first person shooter where you take over outposts, you would not be able to tell me what game I'm on about there.
Wait. Halo.
No, I could have been talking
You could
about
be
Far
looking
Cry.
to it. Yeah, anything.
Yeah, there's literally so many games that I could be talking about.
Division, Ghost Recon.
Yeah, they're third person, but you get the idea, though, don't you?
Yeah, open world taken over. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of been done a lot now.
Or you could just say open world game where you get outposts and go around getting collectibles. That's
Heck.
every Ubisoft game that's come out for like last decade.
That's the majority of games.
Just like some of these smaller in scale titles, it's great having these big, massive open worlds, but sometimes I want something I can complete within like a couple of weeks, not have to dedicate really long amount of time.
I want more mecha games. That's what I want.
Yes, mech games are always appreciated. Chrome Hounds 2, come on, Sega.
Oh, I know. Put your finger out, Sega, please. Come on.
Oh, oddly enough,
Really played more than anything else, I think.
I went on the Xbox Museum, which tells you like your stats throughout the entire time you've been a member of Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
Which you can find on the Xbox website, anyone who's interested. And it tells you your top 5 games. And Chrome Hounds was my second most played game in the entirety of every Xbox title I've ever played.
Yeah, but Barry, please tell the audience what number 1 was.
Number 2 was Battlefield 2 Demo. Now, I played this for about 5 minutes. My brother, on the other hand, played this demo of a single stage, I believe it was called A Bridge Too Far, so much on my account that it is my most played game ever.
Yeah.
Like, not even a contest, it's just top of the list. Now, this is even more played than Phantasy Star Online 2, which I've put somewhere around about 27 days worth of gameplay time into.
Now, that was dedication from your brother. Unless he literally sat there and left it running and never turned it off. My days.
He was always on it. But the worst thing is, he then got the game, absolutely hammered the game. I'm surprised the actual game wasn't in my top 5 as well. Hammered the game on my account up to the point where about a year or so ago, I would actually go on and get people inviting me to games of Battlefield thinking that I was Ben.
Oh, really?
Then on top of that, he's had at least 2 Xbox Live accounts of his own where he's just racked up stupid amounts of time on the game as well.
Well, the fact that when you told me that a beta was number 1.
It wasn't a beta, it was a single stage demo.
Sorry.
Even worse. I can't even remember if it was the original Xbox or the 360 either. I think it might have been the 360 though.
Yeah, 360.
Yeah.
Well, this account didn't exist in the original Xbox, did it?
Yes, it has played on the original Xbox. It's just not my original account I signed up for. I couldn't transfer that across. I had some issues for some reason.
Before we get more sidetracked, going back onto the Indie World games, Parkasaurus. This is a very interesting looking one, isn't it?
This reminds me a lot of, is it Jurassic World Evolution?
Yeah, it is.
But a much more child-friendly, light-hearted version. So that looks like
a lot more
nice
basic graphics, kiddie-friendly.
Yeah. One other title that looks quite interesting is Omori.
Okay.
Which is, it's got a very unique pencil-drawn style to it. And it's a turn-based RPG. And apparently it delves into some topics that you may not really see very often in games, like the subject of loss and trauma. So that looks like it could be an interesting game.
Okay.
Again, these indie games, I feel like they have a bit more freedom to explore different subjects like that maybe the AAA games don't really want to go into because they want the safe bet to get as much money back as they can.
That's about to say, indie developers have a lot more freedom because it's not, I don't know, there's not as big of a loss, I guess, if know what I'm saying? With it all, they've got more ability to risk it.
Yeah, if you're spending $50,000, say, to make your game, and it crashes and burns, that's a lot of money to lose. But it's 50,000. If your game costs $100 million to make and you crash and burn, that's enough to destroy not only like
The
one
company.
person's livelihood, it's a whole company and everyone who
Yeah.
works there. So they do have the responsibility to go for the safer bets.
Yes.
And maybe if that game does well, maybe they can use a bit of the profit from that to maybe do something a bit more out there. But I definitely enjoy there being AAA and indies. Not like back in the day, 16-bit, where pretty much every game was just an indie game, just maybe not by name.
They were just pumping out as many games as they could do to see what stuck.
Yeah, especially Sega with the Dreamcast. The amount of games and the breadth of different genres that they wrote out on that console was absolutely insane.
Oh, well, actually, talking about Sega, unexpected news is about Sega, isn't it, too?
Yeah, it's. I'll pretend that was actually planned, actually. So the next bit of news that we've got is some absolute madman has gone out there and sawn a Sega Saturn in half and made a handheld Sega Saturn.
I think calling him a madman is an understatement. The look of this thing, what
Just
the heck
really
am I looking
quickly,
at?
have you seen this video?
I'm not seeing the video. I'm looking at the image of it. I've read the details in it, and I'm like, what the heck am I looking at? It looks. It looks like
Which
a mess.
one are you looking at? The one next to the Game Gear, the finished product.
No, the one below it.
Oh, the one below it. Yeah, right. Honestly, I watched the video and I was crying. I've never been so upset in my life. He literally starts out and it shows a picture of the Sega Saturn motherboard and then a picture of a Stanley knife or whatever the generic term for them is, box cutter or something. And I looked at him and went, no, surely not. He literally just cuts the whole motherboard in half and goes, I'll figure it out later. Unfortunately, the video is actually in what I think is Chinese.
Okay.
There's just a bit of music playing, but I can't read the text, so I'm not 100% sure. But my understanding is he just cut the Saturn in half, but actually scored it with the Stanley knife and then snapped it like a cracker. And then put so many cables to connect the two parts back together. I'm wondering if it actually saved him any space at all. Then he got a optical disc emulator, which is like a device you're putting in place of the CD drive, so you can put memory cards into it and load games from memory card. Cut that in half, and then just to finish it off, I know, I'll cut a Sega Saturn controller in half and I'll stick it on either side.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm like, what? This? Oh, nice, absolutely mad, but it works.
Mental. Absolutely mental.
And this is taking him over 2 years to complete. And do you know what? The finished product actually looks pretty decent.
It does look pretty nice. But I feel like he has too much time on his hands. I feel like lately a lot of people have too much time on their hands when they do stuff like this. And I'm watching going, a what?
Yeah. Do you know what? It does look like it could
good.
be a genuine prototype for something that Sega would have come out with in the
It does.
mid
It's
to late
very
90s.
well done.
Reminds me a lot of the Sega Nomad, which is a portable Mega Drive that unfortunately we never got over here. So I suppose technically it was a portable Genesis, if you want to be pedantic. The video, it's both amazing and horrifying to watch in equal measures.
What, just seeing the as he snaps it in half?
Oh, yeah, he literally scores down it and he goes, just snaps it like a cracker. It's absolutely shocking, but I'll have a link to it in the show notes, so it's worth a watch. And there's multiple parts to it, but you get the idea.
You might die a little bit,
one.
but it's worth a watch.
Oh, yeah. Again, though, the finished product, it looks great. Now, moving on from the 32-bit generation, though, to something, I was going to say modern, but it's still 20 years ago. Ubisoft is announcing that they're going to remake the original Splinter Cell.
Yeah, I saw this earlier, and I was like, ooh. I miss my Splinter Cell games.
Please never, ever make that noise again.
Okay. I saw this, and I got a bit excited, because when was the last time you played a Splinter Cell game?
Well, I actually went and checked it. It was 2013, which was the last Splinter Cell, which was back on the Xbox 360, and it was Blacklist.
I absolutely love the Splinter Cell games because I like just creeping around and stunning people, knocking people out. You know, I very rarely shot people, or if I did, it was literally just with a pistol, just in the head, and then carry on moving.
Oh no, I remember playing. I think it was Pandora Tomorrow with Phil, and you'd start off best intentions, but very quickly everything would go to pot, and you just ended up in this massive run and gun battle as you're like trying to climb out windows to escape.
No offense, playing with Phil, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, we'll blame it on Phil. He's not here to defend himself.
Or you two just shoot each other and then it goes to pot.
No. Actually, it's probably one of the few games that never happened to us. But I am actually surprised that there was no dedicated Splinter Cell game for the last generation at all.
Yeah, so am I. I'm not sure I played Blacklist. I played Double Agent.
Mm-hmm.
Was Blacklist one after Double Agent?
No, Blacklist was the last one. There was another one before. It was Conviction, the next one.
Yes, I played Conviction. I just didn't play Blacklist.
Which came after Double Agent,
Double
I think.
Agent.
Yeah, I enjoyed most of them. The only one I really didn't get into that much was Double Agent.
I absolutely love Double Agent. I played that online so much.
I just couldn't get into it, but I started playing from the newer ones backwards. And when I got to there, I think just the controls were a bit too antiquated and didn't feel as smooth as the later games, which kind of put me off, I think.
Now, I'm intrigued to see more about the Splinter Cell remake. Definitely is one that I'm going to be watching.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how are they going to just basically make it just with the newer engine just to update all the graphics, or they're going to change quite a bit of it. So I'm excited to see it all happen.
Yeah, I think this is more of a remake than a remaster. Although they were clear to say that it's only been greenlit, so there's no development on this at all at the moment.
I mean, I hope there is development. I hope there is going forwards, but
yeah, there will be. But they've only just said, "Yeah, go make it." No one's actually started making it, so there's not been any like gameplay to show or anything else. But yeah, it's nice to see them giving Sam Fisher a bit of putting him back in the spotlight for a bit, rather than just like a cameo in another game.
Did they cameo him in
Siege
Division?
I've got a feeling he might have actually been in the Division. I'm sure you hear him one of the missions. He's talking on the radio.
I'm really sure he was.
Yeah, but
I'm almost certain he was. It was. I think even in Division 2, I feel like it was. I'm really sure he was.
Yeah, I think it was the Division 2. One of the missions, someone either name drops him or he comes in and starts talking.
Yeah, I'm almost certain. Like you said, they done cameos,
which is nice, but it's not a substitute for an actual Splinter Cell game by a long shot.
Oh, no chance. It couldn't be any further apart, could they?
I'd love to see what the graphics would look like on like the new Xbox and PlayStation consoles with ray tracing as well.
Or creep around the dark and all the lighting effects and everything.
Exactly, yeah. Shooting out all the lights. that was fun. you walk around, shout out the lights, and then was like, "Ooh, what was that?" It's your death.
Like, knock them out, drag them by the feet.
Carefully knock them out and think, I know, I'll just carefully chuck this body off the 5th floor balcony. It's fine. He'll be fine as he lands on his neck.
Oh, no, but
it was not
climbing on the wall, you're hiding on the side of the walls, they're looking around, and you see their torch going over looking for you. And as they pop the head off, you just grab the head and just knock them out and pull them off the side of the of the balcony.
Oh, the other thing I always thought was funny was if the corridor and it was narrow enough, you could jump and do the splits.
Yeah.
To like hide above them, and like a guard just comes along and just like grazes across the bits that you got down there. You're thinking, how does he not know I'm here? It's essentially just teabagged himself.
Walked into the bag himself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Delightful.
I'm looking forward, but I don't expect to see anything from this until like maybe, I don't know, 2023 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we might get a little teaser at E3 or something, perhaps.
Just give us something, please. So just before we move on to the next bit, where we will be speaking about our favorite Christmas games, if you're enjoying this podcast, we would love it if you could take just 2 minutes and leave us a review on your favorite podcasting app. It's really appreciated, and any sort of feedback would definitely help us going along.
And if you'd like to support us further, we also have a Patreon where you become a member for as little as £2.50 a month, listening to ad-free extended versions of this podcast.
So, as this podcast has came out on Christmas Eve, we want to tie in something Christmassy into it as much as possible. And we thought we'd speak about some of our favourite Christmas games we've played, or maybe favourite game you'd like to play during Christmas time. Anyway, just anything that makes you think about Christmas. Barry, you've got any there at all?
Oh, yeah. There's certain games that I come to every Christmas that I love playing. The most noticeable one's Christmas Nights. If you were a Sega kid like I was, you've got to play Christmas Nights. Now, I don't think you're aware what Nights is, just out of curiosity.
I don't know that game, no.
Right, basically you are a jester that flies around in kids' dreams catching nightmares.
What the hell?
It's actually a lot weirder than that. And over here, we got on the Sega Saturn magazine a demo of the first stage of the game. Except when you boot it up, the music's changed, it's very festive, it's Christmassy, it's snowing. Instead of some of the items have been replaced by, instead of like loops, it's been replaced by giant reefs and Christmas bells and crackers instead of springs. So it's all very, very on point for being Christmas.
Yeah.
And I used to love it. But the more you play it, once you complete the demo and you defeat the boss, you get to play... Do you remember those games where you got to match 2 cards?
Yes.
Like memory games.
Pairs.
It's that game, but each one's a present. So if you can match 2 presents, you will unlock that present.
Okay.
And there's so much that you can unlock. You can actually unlock to play as Sonic the Hedgehog. Instead of flying around, you're just Sonic and you're thinking, sod that, just running around, jumping through the air. It was amazing because it was full 3D Sonic on the Sega Saturn.
Okay.
And depending on when you play it as well, the game also changes. Oh, bear in mind, this game as well has its own plot as well. In the city where these 2 kids, the 2 playable characters, live, the tree hasn't got a star. It's been stolen, so they're going into their dreams to try and retrieve this star. But playing it on certain dates, like if you play it on Halloween, you get to play as Rila, which is like the evil jester. Again, if you go back and you're doing the boss as Sonic instead of this giant opera singing bunny rabbit, it's actually Dr. Robotnik. So it's really good, and it's just nice unlocking all the bits. Unfortunately, when this game came to the Xbox and PlayStation 3, although Christmas Nights is on it, you can only play through the level. You can't get any of the unlockables. So it
doesn't change on the seasons. It doesn't.
No, that was part of the fun. Rerunning through it, getting a high score. It's like a score attack sort of game, but unlocking all the extra bits as well. On top of that, I think the only other game that I tend to play around Christmas time, which is vaguely Christmassy, is The Division, to be honest.
Yeah, because everything goes all snowy, doesn't it?
Yeah, nothing gets you in the mood for Christmas like shooting people in the face.
I think even in Division 2, they've just released a patch at the minute where certain enemies will drop Santa gear or some sort of different gears and that. I was reading through the patch notes, and it was saying, killing these certain enemies, and there's even some enemies dressed as Santa and stuff like that as well, it was saying.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get a Die Hard reference out of that. Ho, 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 I got a machine gun.
So, talking about that, we started watching Die Hard last night.
Right, here's the question. Die Hard, is it a Christmas film or not?
Christmas, yeah, easily.
No, I agree with you on that one.
Easily. It's set at Christmas time. He leads to Christmas. I mean, come on. Ho, 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 I've got a machine gun.
Yeah. If people say that Die Hard is not a Christmas film, then in that case, neither's Home Alone.
No.
Because the argument is, oh no, it's just a film that's set
party.
at Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It's set at Christmas. It's a Christmas party. It's it is
It's a
Christmas.
movie about one man overcoming any obstacle to spend Christmas time with his family.
There you go.
He just happens to shoot a lot of people on the way, though,
Yeah,
and blow up the
there's
top
a lot
part
of
of a
death.
building
Yep,
and kick
So,
someone out of a window.
It's not. It's not okay. Let's put it this way: it's definitely a Christmas movie. It's just not a child-friendly Christmas movie. For me, though, when it comes to a Christmas game, I always tend to go back to RuneScape. Funny enough, because they always do their different events for different times of the year. I tend to try and jump back on it and try and do the events. So at the minute it's Christmas time now, so Christmas event, Halloween and Easter, they always do different events.
Yeah.
So generally try and tend to jump on them and take part in those events. And that's one thing that I always tend to go back to just during the during the festive periods. I think it gets to the point where when I'm playing it by myself, it's one of those games where you can play with other people quite easily, but when I'm playing by myself, it gets a bit boring.
Yeah.
So I do jump in, do the festive bit, unlock the in-game content, which again can be pretty weird. Some of the storylines and quests they've got going on, but I always tend to go back and enjoy that. And again, I like how games do turn Christmassy when it comes to Christmas, or turn Halloweeny when it comes to Halloween. I remember playing one of the Forza games, and it does just one day a patch update, and it just starts snowing everywhere.
Yeah. That's
Makes
definitely
it so much
something
harder to
games can
drive.
do now, especially like live service games like, say, Destiny or The Division.
Yes.
And it's something that I think from like the 2000s started to get a bit more prevalent as well. One of the first games I remember that changed for Christmas was Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast.
Okay.
You downloaded like a little patch and it changed some of the palm trees into Christmas trees. There'd be decorations up. Some of the music had changed slightly. Oddly enough, I actually think the music changed to the music from Christmas nights.
Talk about online service games. We need to play Phantasy Star Online New Genesis, because
Yeah.
that'll be all Christmas stuff now, won't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Get all that in-game stuff done.
Phil's probably on there now grinding for like little Christmas suit for his character or something.
Do you mean like a slutty Mrs. Claus suit?
You said it, not me. For me, gaming is kind of like intertwined with Christmas.
Yes.
So, other than games that you like to play around Christmas time, do you have any sort of memories of games related to Christmas? I have one which I've said many times, which unfortunately isn't a happy memory, which is when I really wanted Sonic Chaos for the Master System and I got Indiana Jones. Thank you, Auntie. You ruined my Christmas.
Isn't that the one game you're missing? So.
No. Sorry, I actually got that Sonic Chaos.
Okay.
I actually got that for my birthday afterwards. You're thinking of Knuckles Chaotix. That's the game I'm missing, which is now far too expensive. I would need to get a mortgage to buy that game.
For me, I have a fond memory of getting the PlayStation. I remember getting the PlayStation for Christmas, and I can't remember how I remember this. Maybe my dad told me, but I remember him telling me that once him and my mum unboxed the PlayStation, plugged it all in because they wanted to test to see how it worked. And my dad said that Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve, the night before, that when they were supposed to be wrapping it, him and my mum were racing on a Colin McRae rally game.
You've got to make sure it works.
I was like, thanks, Dad.
I used to use that excuse all the time. If I was getting a present for a game for my birthday, and I was asked to choose the game that I wanted, I was like, but I've got to make sure it works, and just would absolutely hammer it for a day or so until they wrapped it up. I was just thinking then, I've never actually got a games console for Christmas.
I have got a few of them.
No, I haven't. In fact, I don't think I've ever got one for my birthday either.
Don't you just tend to buy them and just use them straight away?
I used to ask for money, save up, and buy them, which is what I did with me Master System going forward. The only exception to that is I did get a secondhand Amiga 1200 for Christmas. would have been probably about, I want to say Christmas 97 or maybe 9th. No, it would have been earlier than that.
A long time ago.
Yeah, it would have been about Christmas 96. And unfortunately, my mum gave the Amiga away, and I've not been able to find one for a reasonable price ever since.
And you've not forgiven her since either.
Nope, not at all.
No.
Not only did she give the Amiga away, she gave all my games away, and it had my coursework for school on it as well. I actually used it for actual work as well as gaming. Mainly gaming, though.
Just another memory that I think just twigged. Pokemon. I always used to get Pokemon for Christmas because Pokemon always came out in November.
Yeah.
So my parents would always get it, and then I'd get it as a Christmas present. So me and my brothers would get it, wait for it, get it on Christmas, and then just start playing Pokemon all day Christmas Day. That's another one I remember.
Well, I've got to act surprised, but I know I am getting Sonic Colors for Christmas this year. Mainly because, one, I bought it, and two, Elliot just told me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I was there going to him, going, what do you want for Christmas? And he's like, I want a tanker. And I went, what does Daddy want? And he goes, Sonic. But don't worry, I've got it. I was like, okay. And I was like, what does Mummy want? Shoes. I'm like, yeah, you've got us sussed, haven't you?
Knows you too well.
Yeah. One other actual memory that I have from Christmas as well is playing Modern Warfare. I think it was the first Modern Warfare, maybe Modern Warfare 2 with Ben. We were at my mum's and at the Xbox setup, and we just absolutely blitzed through all of the spec op missions that were on there. Do you know, like the co-op missions? And we stayed up until about 7:30 in the morning. Bear in mind, we're fully grown adults at this point. We're not children.
That doesn't make a difference.
We're there playing it, and we could not do the one where the juggernauts come in like the plane graveyard.
There's two of them, isn't there?
I think there's 2 or 3 at least. We just couldn't do it. And every time we heard like the music, we go, dum, like, shit, they're coming. And like panic would take over. But we just could not do that. I think we've done them all on the hardest difficulty except that one mission. And at 7:30, we heard my mum's alarm going off in her bedroom. We were like, turn the Xbox off, jump in bed and pretend we were asleep.
Wait, so these 2 full-grown adults are scared of their mum at 7:30 in the morning?
Oh, yeah, if you see my mum in the morning, you'd be scared of her too. No, just as soon as we just heard the alarm and just look at each other and go, oh no. And just turned the Xbox off and just dived into bed and threw the quilt over as mum comes in going, come on, boys, it's Christmas. Are you coming down? Yeah, just getting up. It's like, oh, you got changed quick. And it's like, yeah. And I think we fell asleep like midday.
So, yeah.
Went round my mum's for Christmas and she's like, oh, she did sleep all day. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm not surprised though, Barry.
Unfortunately, I can't do that with Ben now since he's like half a day ahead of me. I don't know. I think for a lot of people, gaming and Christmas are very closely related.
It is because a lot of people get consoles and games for Christmas.
Yeah.
Normally. But,
yeah, except this year where scalpers have got them all.
No, yeah, scalpers are just... There's the start now. But I think I've actually asked... I know it doesn't come out till January, but I've asked us to get me Pokemon Arceus when that comes out.
Yeah. Have you got any games for any of your kids?
Yeah. So he asked for a Just Dance game, so I got him Just Dance on Switch.
Oh, dear.
Well, he loves that sort of thing.
I've seen you dance. Something's got to get broken.
Don't start.
Well, on that, I think that's all that we have for this week. So thank you everyone for listening. And hopefully we'll see you next week for our retro recap of 2021.
As always, information on everything we've spoken about today can be found in the full show notes, which can be found at retrogamingdads.co.uk.
We've been the Retro Gaming Dads, and we'll catch you next time.